Cops, security guards. I would say security guards mostly ambivalent, but cops do not like security guards, and it's a pretty big part of our lives.
We have lost security guard clients. In fact, as we are filming right now, there is potentially a security guard versus cop showdown happening for one of our clients. It is this moment being handled by someone else. So, yes. We are the Armed Attorneys. Welcome back to another Questions Answered episode. We love these episodes. Stick around. We're going to talk about shooting through a door. We're going to talk about sovereign immunity. We're going to talk about cops versus security guards. And what if your judge is so bad that they love every bad gun law and hate you? But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button. And don't forget to go over to armedattorneys.com, sign up for our newsletter. If you want some current or breaking gun law news, we don't spam you. It's not very often, but you'll be there and you'll get the news when it happens.
1 for 1 on the intro. Great job.
You did All right. All right.
And I have to mention our not very discreetly placed good guy with a gun .online calendar.
Look at this.
Defensive gun use every day of the year. He sent us these. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I flipped through it. It's pretty fun.
Yes, this was from Jake at goodguywithagun.online. It is awesome. It's awesome. Every day it's got a QR code too to the actual news story. I'm pumped up about it. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, we just wanted to shout that out. All right, and we'll start with the questions right out of the gate. All right, to the first question, the Butter Zone question. If the assailant shoots through the door and misses you and you shoot back and don't miss, then they toss the gun in the snow as they fall on your doorstep. Would you look better to a jury if you drag them inside and shut the door between them and the gun and to restrain and render aid versus letting them suffer hypothermia and therefore bleed out faster in the minutes to more than an hour it takes for paramedics to arrive at your mountain home? P.S. Would you ideally be with family members or a trusted friend and there would be a less than lethal cover if the assailant becomes a threat again? So this is a twist on I thought it was going in one direction, like, do you drag the body inside to get the castle doctrine? But then we zag back into it's for preserving life.
We did. And I love this. This is a very specific thought.
Yeah.
I love those questions. So, I mean, my gut, and of course I live in a place without snow where hypothermia is never a threat. My gut would be leave them where they are. I would not render aid. I just would not feel safe doing so. Is a prosecutor going to come after you one way or the other? Sure. My gut says leave them in the snow.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking lawyers for moral advice. Obviously, preserving a life, the difference between a murder charge and an aggravated assault charge, or, it's called serious bodily injury, whatever it's called in your state, or a civil charge of personal injury versus wrongful death. Mitigating damages, sometimes a good idea. Our number one priority is keeping yourself safe.
Okay, first of all, I don't think there was anything wrong with my moral compass on that one, Richard. But I have seen enough horror movies to know that when you shoot a bad guy at your remote mountain cabin and you think he's down, he is not down.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes, there's not a right or a wrong answer to that.
They couldn't make sequels if they died in the snow, is your logic.
Anyway, a prosecutor could make a deal out of either way. They're either going to say, look at this cold-hearted, believe me, Samir, always, he left him out in the snow to die. Can you believe that? Or they're going to say, wasn't that scared of him? This guy wasn't too much of a threat, was he? Look,
he knew he messed up. That's why he was trying to cover it up.
And he wasn't scared of him, like he knew he wasn't, also, I mean, I can't tell you how many cases I've had recently. This is sort of a recent development here in Texas, at least, where the DA's offices are basically like, your client planted that gun. And it's like, what? And they do it without any evidence.
They're because they want you to disprove a negative.
Yes.
It's a bizarre thing.
They're just like, they claim without evidence in front of a jury, as officers of the court, I might add, you want to talk about a broken moral compass, that any gun on a bad guy was planted by the self-defender. Anyway, it's happened to me twice here recently, which is why I say, oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, I would say there's not a right answer. There's not a right answer. Go with your gut, go with your moral compass, and just know that you're fighting a battle potentially with prosecutor's office either way.
Yeah.
Okay, we have at Crate NW, CR8NW. Question. I'm in a castle doctrine state. I have a front entry door with a large oval window. Parts of the window are frosted, but there's a large portion in the middle that is clear. If someone attempts to enter my home and displays a firearm, does that display of a firearm suffice as evidence that he has capacity to harm me prior to making entry? I know that normally you can't shoot someone through a closed door because, 1, you normally can't see who you're shooting at, and 2, the barrier between you gives options other than use of force. How does having clear glass at the barrier change things?
So what this comes down to is imminence. So imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death. Well, person brandishing firearm at you with thin barrier between you. Guess what? All those boxes are checked. So would a use of deadly force be justified under the circumstances? I would say yes. And then we're taking, we just have to take the question the way it is, right? Throw in one little factor, maybe it changes our opinion. But does this implicate castle doctrine? Well, you said in your question, they tried to enter. So yes, in most circumstances, an attempted forceful non-lawful entry is going to check that box as well. But again, you could just change one little factor here. Let's say they didn't try to enter and just brandished. Does that change that you wouldn't be allowed to defend yourself? Well, probably not. It depends, because think about these things. It's super dynamic, happens in seconds. Somebody could shoot through a window very quickly. So it's all going to depend. I know juries and folks hate that answer, but given here, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, if someone actually in a castle doctrine state, generally under model castle doctrine law, if they actually make that forceful and unlawful entry or attempt it, you don't need to see a gun at all. So,
all right, next one, we're going to go on to Romulus 463. Question: what would happen to a lawyer litigating a 2A case before a judge who has made a name for him or herself for loving every gun control law that pops up and pointing out the judge based on past rulings would decide against their plaintiff? So there's a lot in there, but calling out judges, your experience with that, how does that go?
Yes. So as the lawyer, if you are litigating that 2A case before that judge who has a history of being anti-2A, and you say, Judge, I think you're biased here. You have a history of being anti-2A. They're going to be like, buckle up, buckaroo. You didn't know what bias looked like till now. I mean, that's just realistically.
Yeah, it's a weird dance too. Like if you ask a judge to recuse themselves,
oh, you better be. It's like if you take a shot and miss, like you take a shot, you better make it count.
Yeah. And so just simply having a bad track record, is that something that judges need to recuse themselves over generally?
No, generally that is not going to be the case, because the judge, and I mean, whatever judicial officer is making the decision on recusal, potentially, because that's your answer would be recusal. They're going to say it's not a anti-gun bias. That's just their interpretation of the law. They're allowed to have that interpretation of the law, even if wrong. That's what appeals are for. So yes, it would be. I would love. Oh my gosh! Remember, there is one judge in Harris County who I will not name personally, but that she gets all those self-defense cases, and she is so anti-self-defense, and she just stacks it in favor of the state every time, and she gets reversed on appeal, and there is just nothing you can do about it except hope that she spends a lot more time off the bench like she's been doing recently.
And so when you think of recusal, I mean, really what we're talking about is the judge's biases. They'd be so overwhelmed that they can't be a fair arbiter, calling balls and strikes. And so most of the time, these higher courts, when they're saying, "Oh, was this person? Should they have recused themselves?" They expect the judge to be fair. They start with this kind of really strong presumption, and the scenarios that come up where it's maybe yes, they should have recused themselves if they have a financial interest in the outcome of the case, if it's involving family members or people, maybe it's like one
former clients.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Former clients. Yeah, I think if they have specialized knowledge about the case, let's say they worked on the case and then they went and ran, became a judge. So. Apart from those things, you just don't see recusals because they have a track record of being a certain way on an issue.
Yeah, unfortunately. Now, we've got at John Hardy, M9I, question. And this is long, but I think very instructive, and I appreciate all of it. If the states can sue Glock for making a firearm that can be easily converted to a fully automatic gun by criminals, which they are doing right now, why can't citizens sue the state for damages if someone is issued a driver's license by the state and then drinks and drives or drives recklessly, causing damage, injury, or loss of life? To that, Skip Kirkwood U9X, thank you, Skip Kirkwood, just answered very simply, because of sovereign immunity. And then Skip was attacked by Robert Canup, 4473. Immunity is court-created BS. You can scan both the Constitution and laws and never find anything on immunity, sovereign, or qualified. Immunity started with a ridiculous SCOTUS ruling on the 11th Amendment, where the court invented a bunch of things absolutely not in the 11th Amendment. To which Skip replied, nevertheless, it is real. It gets cases dismissed every day. You might not like it, but it is fact, whether it appears in the Constitution or not. No one is wrong here.
Yeah.
No one is wrong here. And it is...
It illustrates a very good point.
It does. So go on, Richard.
Well, I'll just say, so to the first point of, yes, that's why the cases can't be brought against the government. The government chooses when it can be sued, and guess what? They choose oftentimes not to be sued. And then to the second point of, hey, look, the court just invented a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't accept this. Escape the matrix. Yes. Also, yes, we agree with all of that.
However, comma,
this is
back to Skip's point.
and this is a world, and it's tough when we talk to y'all, our clients. This is where we say, hey, this isn't the way that we want the world to be, but this is how it is. Sometimes it be like it is.
It don't always be how it do, but yeah.
But it is. Sometimes. Sometimes it don't be like it is, but it do.
But it do.
Yeah. That's. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right.
Yes. So yeah, I thought this was very. It's a lot of what we try to communicate on this channel, which is like, this is the legal reality. And we get a lot of people who are like so-called lawyers, stupid lawyers, accepting something that shouldn't be the law. And it's like, as I say to gun control advocates when they tell me something is wrong, what is your proposed alternative? Because what's the proposed alternative to, if you don't want there to be sovereign immunity? Revolution?
Yeah.
Revolution. I mean, because it has been fought and lost in the court system ad nauseum. There is no fight in the court system that you are going to win on sovereign immunity. It is well settled law, and that sucks. And nobody wants to hear that, especially not me. I mean, come on, dog.
Well, it's like, I think it's because you and Leslie ran into this. It's like judges having absolute immunity.
Yes.
In the Fifth Circuit.
Yes.
When judges get something wrong.
Yes.
That's not good.
No, I mean, I would love to take the government down about 12 notches on several clients right now, and my choice would be to file a lawsuit that would be immediately dismissed, and then appeal it, and that would be immediately dismissed, and I could either charge my client a gazillion dollars, or I could bankrupt myself because I'm spending all of those man hours for $0 to do it. I mean, there's no winning, because you know it is not going to win. And I don't know what the answer is. There is no answer, but but no, you guys are actually like, this is a good discussion to be had. You guys are great.
Yeah. All right. Next one to you. This is Mr. Not You 83. Why do cops not like security guards? Second question, if it's not too personal, what guns do you guys carry for personal defense, and why that particular gun? We'll take these in order. First, I want to talk about, because we've mentioned this several times, and I think people are very surprised. Cops, security guards? I would say security guards, mostly ambivalent, but cops do not like security guards, and it's a pretty big part of our lives.
We have lost security guard clients. In fact, as we are filming right now, there is potentially a security guard versus cop showdown happening for one of our clients. It is this moment being handled by someone else. So, yes, it is one of those things.
What bizarre timing? Because we picked out this question, 30 minutes ago.
We had to break in.
We had to break in the middle just to handle this. I mean, what timing? What timing?
So, yes, and it is. I think there are a couple things. I think there are some cops who do not like their world being infringed upon by people who are not technically cops. And I think there's some security guards who are overreaching and not doing the right thing and acting as though they have the authority of police when they do not and are not police. And I think you have a lot of cops who see that and they assume that is all security guards, and they just come at them with a bad attitude.
Yeah. I mean, there are some folks who are clear line steppers, like that guy in Florida who, like...
Jeremy DeWitt.
Yeah.
Love those videos.
Yeah, who, will never outright say he's not a cop, but it gets really, really close.
Yeah. I think he's still in prison.
Yeah. So, yeah, all right. There's an example. But then you have just regular folks who are just trying to keep their clients' property safe or keep patrons safe and are completely normal human beings. I'll say that's the overwhelming majority in my experience.
And are often put in impossible situations because they don't have any more rights than your average Joe.
I mean,
in
how are
terms of
you
use of
going to
force.
respond when you're at the strip club? It's 3 a.m. Somebody starts doing a drive-by shooting. What are you supposed to do?
We do have a lot of strip club shootings, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but it really is. It's one of those things, but it is very real.
And then on to the next question of everyday carry, Glock 43X for me. I like it. It's just easy to use. I've trained with it a lot. That's why I choose that gun.
Yeah. So I change.
Ooh.
I change. So I do love, I have an M&P 9C. I love it. It does not have its factory trigger anymore, which is why I love it. Why do I love it?
What trigger
though?
did you get?
I think it's Apex, but I gotta be honest, I don't.
You don't remember the trigger you put in 12 years ago?
Yeah, more than 12 years ago. So, and why do I like it? I don't know. It's the one I took to. You remember we went to that like week-long shooting course? Or I went to the one before you.
Black
like,
Tree Ranch?
So mine wasn't Black Tree Ranch. It was up in Madisonville.
Mm.
And so that just happened to be the gun I brought with me. And this was around the time I replaced the trigger. And I put like 3,000 rounds through it.
Awesome.
And so it's like, that's just the one that I was like, if I had chosen a different gun to bring with me that week, I probably would carry a different gun more regularly. That's just the one that I'm super, super, super comfortable with, unless I'm in my court clothes, not going into a courthouse with this, of course, but I'm in my lady clothes and I have a handbag, and then it's a Ruger LCR.
Yeah. But
for the handbag.
But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And as always, question and comment below. Leave your questions with the word question, and then we can find them really easily. We'll answer them on next week's episode. Until next time, wear the armed attorneys.